There's been a lot of things that have gone on in my life, on the personal side of things, that I could have easily just said like, I'm not gonna keep pursuing certain things. I'm gonna kind of maybe take the easy routes to some things in life and not pursue either school or a career. And I really didn't let those things deter me.
The journey for Javier Campos to becoming the golf course superintendent at the California Golf Club of San Francisco has been quite extraordinary. Growing up near the club, he had no idea the course was there, even though he passed it on a regular basis on his way to the library. The country club lifestyle wasn't exactly one in which Javier and his family were accustomed to while growing up.
Had kind of a rough upbringing. We pretty much were raised like we were pretty poor. I mean, my dad was in construction when we were kids. I shared a bedroom with like 4 siblings, and I think a pretty quick, at like an early age, I'm like, I don't know that I want to live like this my whole life.
On a mission to find a better life for himself, Javier began selling suits at the local JCPenney. Unhappy being indoors and with the job itself, he was encouraged by his future brother-in-law to apply for a job at Cal Club at the age of 17. With a little experience working in landscaping as a kid, he applied and secured an interview with then Superintendent Thomas Bastis.
I remember when I applied here, obviously it was with Thomas that I kind of did a quick interview in the old parking lot, our old shop. I remember I showed up in like jeans and like a button shirt. He was like, "Why are you all dressed up?" And he starts asking me, "Do you have any experience?" I'm like, I used to, clean yards, because like my dad's cousin used to do like a landscaping thing. I'm like, "Yeah, I've cleaned yards." He's like, "Well, this is a pretty big yard." He's like, "It's gonna be a little different."
It didn't take long for Javier to find a passion for the industry. In addition to enjoying the work, he also recognized an opportunity to pursue the lifestyle he'd been searching for as a kid. And it was the special bond being formed with his new boss that helped push Javier in the right direction.
At that time, Thomas was doing these outdoor races, one specifically called Primal Quest, that I remember he was getting ready to go to. I mean, figure I was like probably like 18 at that time. And I remember he was going on this trip, and I was like, "Dude, that's badass. Like, this guy has a cool job. I like outdoor stuff too." So, I was like, "Man, he gets to go travel and do this. Like, I want to have a job like this." And I remember telling my mom, she remembers, I was like, "Man, I want to have a job like my boss one day." Thomas kind of became a little bit of a father figure to me, for several reasons, in my personal life and stuff like that. But just the fact that dude was constantly on me about, being better. You have to go to school. You have to do all this stuff.
Javier had found himself a potential career and a mentor that would push him to be his best and help him accomplish his goals. Little did he know, the job and new father figure came into his life at just the right time.
My dad ended up getting arrested for, stuff obviously I don't have to dive into, but it was just like a really weird situation. I remember I went home for lunch one day when I was actually working here, and I just like went home for lunch. Bless my mom, she always had my lunch ready at 11 o'clock when I show up. But that day I just get there, there's a ton of people outside my house, and I see people wearing gloves and all this stuff, and I'm like, man, what's going on? I thought first my mom got sick or something like that. And sure enough, I go in, the guy sits me down, he's like, your dad's been arrested for so-and-so, and it just hit me like, man, my life's about to be pretty different. At that point, I pretty much decided I got to go all in on something. I got to make something of myself, and that's kind of why I go back to that idea that you really can't let anything stop you, because it's very easy to just kind of at that point, I knew I was going to have to help my mom even more, kind of supporting the family and stuff like that. And it's very easy to just say, you know what, I can't do school anymore. Maybe I need to get a second job. But I kind of viewed it as I'd rather kind of sacrifice a little bit more time, spend more time at work, get more overtime, which is kind of what I was looking to do. So I've said it to some people at this club that I pretty much use the club as kind of my escape, I guess, if you will, where the more time I spent at work, the less I had to think about, whatever else was going on in life.
Cal Club became Javier's home away from home. He committed himself to the work and ultimately the path to becoming a superintendent.
I remember I told Thomas, hey, I think this is what I want to do for a living. And he probably remembers. And I remember he just said, he's like, all right, just don't waste my time. I'll teach you everything you want to learn. Just don't waste my time.
Thomas encouraged Javier to pursue a formal education and even worked with the club to secure funding to pay for his enrollment. With the blessing and support from his new wife, Javier enrolled at Rutgers, where he completed their 2-year turf program and came back to Cal Club energized and with lofty goals for his career.
Once I came back from that, I was all in on this thing. I'm like, whatever it takes. And then at that point, I was like, I want to be a superintendent by the time I'm like 30. And then, man, the industry was changing. It was like, little by little, it just started becoming a thing where, it just is what it is. Like, you start wanting to talk about family, but you're like, well, I'm an assistant. You're not making that much money or anything. And you start kind of thinking like, well, maybe this isn't the right, kind of gig to get into if you want to live in this area and, have a family. But I just think, I don't know, something always just kind of kept me motivated into like doing this.
Though Javier remained confident and steadfast in achieving his goal of becoming a superintendent by age 30, the likelihood of this happening at Cal Club would require his friend and mentor to move on to something new, which was an outcome Javier never thought possible.
And this was his baby. Like, he grew this thing in after, but I remember he was kind of teetering. And me and Thomas are obviously really close. But finally, like I kept thinking he's gonna turn it down. He's gonna turn it down because he had job offers in the past. But then when he came upstairs one day, he's like, get your resume ready. Like, I think I'm gonna, take the PGA job. I was like, oh crap. I'm not gonna lie. Like, part of me, I was like, I've never had an interview for a job. Like, when I worked at JCPenney, that wasn't much of an interview. It was like, hey, we need you for Christmas. Do you want to get work here? I was like, all right. And so that was actually the first like formal interview that I had to prepare for.
Javier had dedicated over a decade of his life to the California Golf Club, starting at age 17 as a union laborer and then working his way into the assistant superintendent position. He had put in the time and made the sacrifices necessary to put himself in the position to earn an opportunity to interview for the head superintendent role.
Yeah, so when I interviewed with Glenn, I was more nervous as hell because it was like, man, maybe they're just interviewing me for the formality of it because I've been here for so long. Maybe guys would admit it, maybe guys won't, but I'll say, I was confident. I knew I could do the job if I got the job. But like I said, this was a big club. It was like up and coming. I figured they were going to do a search, which later I did hear they kind of wanted to. But from the sound of it, I kind of knocked it out of the park with Glenn, and then I met with our president. And all of a sudden, it was like, things moved forward. I didn't think it was going to happen, but I met the goal of becoming a superintendent by the time I was 30.
Now more than 4 years into his dream job at Cal Club, Javier regularly reflects on the circumstances that inspired him to pursue a better life for himself, and he's made the choice to forgive in order to be a better husband and father for his own family.
I think about it every day because, again, especially now, like when I see him, grateful that he's around and he's doing well. It's hard. So, yeah, it's hard. It's hard. Give me a sec. So, yeah, no, it makes it hard to talk about those things, but like I said, at the end of the day, I'm definitely better for it. So it's turned out pretty good. And it's impossible not to think about because it's stuff that I have to share with my kids in a sense of, why their grandpa wasn't around at times and stuff like that. So it comes up quite a bit. I kind of decided one day where it's just like, it's just not worth holding any grudges. Like, I'm not going to be happy with my kids. And so it was just like, I let everything go basically. And, I'm just happy that he's healthy, he's around, and yeah, we're good now.
It would have been easy for Javier to go down a different path, but instead of being a product of his environment, he found an outlet to occupy his mind and his time. He found a mentor who believed in him and pushed him to be his absolute best, and he listened to his own inner drive to provide a better life for himself and his own family.
Just kind of picturing yourself like, well, do I want to end up in the same place, that my dad did or family did? And the answer was hell no. It's just like, I love my freedom. At that time, my girlfriend, now my wife, I'm like, you don't have these things when you risk so much. Like all that could just go away so fast. So yeah, no, it would have been super easy. And this was definitely the harder route to, quote unquote, be successful, but it was the route that definitely made more sense for me. At the end of the day, I always just had this vision where I don't know where I was going to end up. I really didn't, but I just knew I was going to be successful, whatever I was going to end up doing. And man, thankfully it's been at this place. I haven't had to leave to a different golf course or anything. Things just lined up really well for me. Dude, I grew up in a house where I was sharing a room with 4 siblings, like one room. But then all of a sudden, like, you have a job like this and you get some of the perks that you do. It's just like, so a lot of moments are definitely like, holy crap, like, man, this is pretty much my career, like my life. Like, I didn't think that working on the golf course was gonna kind of lead to, some of the stuff that I get to experience out here, for sure, man.